So in case you haven't noticed, Hollywood has kind of lost its mind lately. They've been announcing reboot after reboot after reboot. They recently announced that they're rebooting the entire Harry Potter franchise as a TV show. No, I'm not kidding. Disney, of course, has continued to reboot pretty much every animated movie they've ever made. They have their live-action Little Mermaid coming out soon. And they also just announced they're rebooting Moana, which feels like came out last Thursday. They're even rebooting the Lord of the Rings movies and doing more of those. I mean, Hollywood is just in this really weird cycle of repeating content over and over and over again. But I just heard that they're rebooting Twilight. They're rebooting Twilight as a TV show. So we're doing the whole Bella Edward romance vampire thing again. Yeah, we're doing Twilight again. That is crazy to me. And I really need to explain to you guys why I think this has a very, very long shot of actually working out, because repeating the magic of what happened in those early Twilight movies just cannot be repeated. Let me explain. Okay, before anyone gets upset at me, let me explain. I would describe myself, or at least how I used to be, as a twihard. I was one of those Twilighter fans that showed up to school in my Team Edward shirt that couldn't shut up about Twilight. I absolutely loved it. Everything I'm saying here is coming from the perspective of a fan. So I can say things like those movies obviously had flaws and weren't perfect, and you understand it's not me hating the movies, it's me just being like honest about them. I don't think there's anyone out there that really sees those Twilight films as like peak cinema or like, you know, works of art or anything, as much as we may love those movies. But that's exactly why I think this Twilight reboot is going to be so hard to recapture the magic of the films, is because those movies are what I describe as ironic masterpieces. In some strange way, I don't know if it's the timing of when those movies came out, but those Twilight films have a sort of ironicness about them that everyone kind of acknowledges that they're kind of bad, but we kind of love them anyway for their goofy oddities. And what do I mean by oddities? Well, the fact that the first movie is very, very blue for like no reason at all, and then in the very next film it's like super brown and they never explain why. I mean the fact that Bella seems to have a very, very bad blinking problem where she just blinks non-stop constantly, or that Edward's accent goes in and out of being British, or that Jackson Rathbone's accent makes no sense. I think that's supposed to be country.
Oh, well, I think we can handle that.
Sorry, Bella. It would be nice to not want to kill you all the time.
Or the fact that they absolutely fucked up Renesmee beyond compare. Y'all, look at that baby. Oh my god, look at that baby. Or the campy baseball scene that everyone loves.
Okay, now I see why you need the thunder.
Or the very specific 2008 pop punk music that we all like from the movies. Or even the fact that the vampires in this universe glittering got memed into oblivion at a time when memes weren't even that big yet on the internet.
I know what you are.
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
Jonas Brother.
Those Twilight movies over time have kind of taken on a bit of a cult-like status, even though they were major blockbuster movies that made a ton of money.
So we're up at 5 a.m. every morning, headed out to our first event by 8 a.m. Wearing hair and makeup and contacts all day, performing for fans, and we have to be on all the time when we're with fans. So that means no eating, no drinking, no going to the bathroom, because vampires don't do that.
But they're sort of seen almost like indie movies in a way, where they're kind of like in that ironic parody realm that I would put Rocky Horror Picture Show category. You know, the kind of film that everyone kind of ironically loves. But they're definitely in that category of so ironic, so bad, but they're kind of good in a fun way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, those films are so specific, and I really don't think that people liked those movies just because they really loved the books or just because they were really into the story. I really do think that it was the cast and the sort of weird, in-the-moment cultural zeitgeist of it all that just, like, somehow made it work. And I think it'd be really hard to recapture that sort of magic. And another thing that I think people really liked about this movie is the fact that the main cast seemed to absolutely hate the films as much as the haters did.
Did your Twilight experience turn out to be what you expected?
I know it's long been said, but the amount of digs that Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart would like throw at this movie constantly was almost part of the charm of the movies themselves. The fact that the actors themselves couldn't stand it.
I was convinced that Stephanie was convinced she was Bella. And especially when she says, "Oh, it was based on a dream," and it's like, "Oh, I had this dream about this really sexy guy," and she just writes this book about it. It's like, this woman is mad.
I know that since they have changed their minds and said that they now look back at these movies more fondly, which is really nice to hear. But at the time, man, it was so funny. In fact, I remember listening to the director's commentary of the first Twilight movie, where they had Robert and Kristen and the director all talking on the movie as it was playing. Robert and Kristen are like secretly throwing digs at the movie the entire time as the director's like just nicely trying to explain her movie.
Listen, guys, have you read the book? We're not supposed to be eating. I'm sorry, but I'm just like a sweaty guy. I love how I'm driving at 2 miles an hour. Slow down! I can't go any slower.
Go check out the director's commentary. You won't regret it. But that was kind of the charm of the whole thing. The fact that the cast themselves kind of never took the movie seriously, which is why I think they were able to get away with such silly concepts and unseriousness that they had to like deal with.
Young Bella.
And why I think at the end of the day, despite how weird those movies can be, they worked for at least their audience anyway. It's because nobody took it too seriously. They just allowed it to be what it was, and they let it be campy and fun by the end, which I really appreciated. If this new reboot tries to be serious, if they try to take this seriously, it won't work. And Bella and Edward better have chemistry. Another reason why I think those original movies worked is because Robert and Kristen had such palpable on-screen chemistry. The chemistry is going to be key for this new reboot to work at all. I have to believe those two actors are secretly fucking on the side. Like, I just gotta believe it, you know? Not only that, but the movies were pretty faithful adaptation of the books. For the most part, the movies pretty much included everything. So I don't know how they're gonna stretch out this story over an entire series. I feel like they're probably gonna have to put in a bunch of filler or change a bunch of stuff to actually have enough material for an entire series. I also think it's going to be really, really hard for die-hard fans to want to accept the new cast. To a lot of people, Robert, Kristen, and Taylor are these characters. So it's going to be harder for, I think, for some people to accept anyone else in those roles. And I kind of feel bad for whichever actor has to take them on because they're going to get constant comparisons. It's pretty much unavoidable. So there are a lot of reasons why I think this TV show is going to face an uphill battle. Now, to be fair, it's still in very, very early stages. From what I read in the article, they don't even have a director yet. They don't really have any set plans, so they might not do an exact reboot of the Twilight story. They might do something different. I don't know. But this video is about what would happen if they tried to do an exact Twilight reboot of the books. I just don't know if it can be replicated. Maybe it can. Maybe it'll just bring about a new Twilight renaissance, but I don't know, man. Like, they literally spray painted Robert Pattinson's abs on him in the second one. Like, you just don't get campier than that. Like, how are they gonna top that? I feel like those movies captured lightning in a bottle, and I don't know if lightning's gonna strike twice. But anyway, those are my thoughts on a potential Twilight reboot coming up. I think it's pretty crazy that Hollywood's in this reboot spree where they're literally redoing things that are only like 10 years old at this point. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think that the cast is so iconic, they're going to be hard to replace. I think that it's so very specific of that time period that it came out that it might be hard to redo for the modern era. I think there's a bit of ironicness and tongue-in-cheekness about those original films that I think also can't be repeated. So it's going to be weird. It's definitely going to be really weird, but I am gonna cover it on my channel because I'm curious. As a former huge fan, I feel like I kind of owe my 12-year-old self to cover this show. So if you want to know more about the Twilight show, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, please make sure you like the video. It really does help the algorithm share the video out to more people, so please make sure you like the video. And also, again, I'm gonna have a live show on Friday. I have a live show every Friday at 5. So please make sure you come back to my channel and don't miss that. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.